Joining us once again on the show today, candidate in Texas's 31st district, Donna Imam. Welcome back to the Damage Report.
Thank you so much, John. Really good to be back.
It's good to have you back, and it's been a pretty big couple of months. The last time you were on the show back in, I think it was around the middle of June, you were facing your runoff, and that has since happened, and you succeeded. So congratulations on the result there.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Like I said, no one believed we would be here, but in this entire primary process, we beat out 11 other candidates. And in the runoff, we beat our runoff opponent, not just by a little bit, 13 points, okay? So the district has made it very clear. And the cool part is in the runoff, we had 257% turnout. Not 5%, not 10%, 257% turnout, July 14th, right in the middle of this pandemic, when unfortunately cases in Texas were the worst, but people came out to vote.
Wow, yeah, that is obviously awesome. One of the conversations we've been having with a lot of candidates during this entire pandemic is how it's affecting their race, and obviously it makes it more difficult to do certain things. But I wonder, the last time we talked was a few months ago. We've since gone through another big spike in cases, including, as you pointed out, in your state. As of right now, as you're going into the home stretch, just a few more months until you'll go up against John Carter, who's held the office for getting towards 2 decades now. The way that it's been handled, the way that a lot of these big national issues have been handled, is that still having an effect on the way your race is running right now?
Absolutely. I mean, look at Texas, right? We had a shutdown for 4 to 6 weeks, depending on which county you were in. Yet during that time, our leadership, our GOP governor, didn't take advantage at all to do the right things and open up in the right way. First of all, when they opened up, they didn't require masks anywhere. They left it up to small businesses to police masks, okay? So then we had a huge spike in hospitalizations. You saw, hospitals in Houston be maxed out of ICU capacity. And then, 4 to 6 weeks later, when the death rate was going high, we exceeded 10,000 deaths. They decided now they were going to say masks are going to be required in Texas. And within 2 to 3 weeks of, masks being required, we now see hospitalizations go down 20%. Look, the science has been telling us from day one that if everybody wears masks, if you have 90% plus masks, you handle these challenges, the pandemic, in a way that it really impacts people's lives, where people are not ending up in the hospital. But these guys decided, despite all of the evidence, all of the science, all of the physicians telling them what to do, that they were going to just leave it up to other people to do what they wanted. And we have thousands of deaths in Texas that did not have to happen. I remind you guys that we have over 170,000 families that have had to put on a funeral in the middle of this pandemic. Just imagine if you were one of those.
Exactly, yeah. And unfortunately, it's very close to home. So it seems like we just went through the RNC. And if there was talk about the pandemic, it was in the past tense, that we've moved past this. And so they are trying to get people to limit the damage that's being done to Donald Trump, the damage that's being done to potentially incumbents like John Carter, to imagine that we've moved past all of this. The pandemic's done. But then there's this alternate reality, which I call reality, which is that it's still killing more than 1,000 people a day. People still need economic assistance that is being blocked. When you're talking to people, how successful has the narrative of ignore all of our troubles been? Or do the people in your district realize that a lot of people are still out of work? It's likely to get worse. People are still dying. Are they looking at John Carter and wondering why he's not doing more? Or are they ready to just move on and pretend that we're past all of this?
Nobody who is impacted from this, who doesn't know where their rent is coming from, who hasn't been able to go back to work, is wondering, how things are better. They are wondering, why isn't our government getting serious? Especially right now, this is fall. We had parents trying to decide, are they gonna homeschool their kids and do this distance learning, or are they gonna actually send their kids to school? Can you imagine being a parent right now and having to make that decision? And do you think as a parent, you would ever be able to live with yourself if you decided to send your kids to school and one of them died?
Oh my God, yeah.
So these are the challenges that every single family is having to deal with. On top of that, we now know that people in the lower income stratus are having to deal with evictions. Where are they gonna live? We just had, Laura go through all of the southern Louisiana part. People didn't know where to go, where to take shelter. It's almost as if the GOP is looking at all of this and saying, just don't show this on camera. Just don't show this in mass media and everything will be okay. They're not realizing the impact day to day that people are dealing with. These are major challenges for both people in my district and across the United States.
And obviously, while they're ignoring the economic catastrophe and the pandemic, they're talking, nationally about the protests that have been going on. Their view of it is obviously very different than, say, mine, for instance. And so what's interesting is that while we're having this national conversation about possibly reforming the police, taking a look at the prison system and all of that, really fundamentally rethinking these things, apparently the person you're challenging has a sort of a dog in this fight, has been receiving money from some of these private prison groups, correct?
Yeah, so John Carter, who is my opponent and who has been in this position of representing Texas's 31st district for 9 terms, has taken money from the GEO Group and Core Civic. Now, Core Civic actually owns a detention center, an ICE detention center in my district in Taylor, Texas. We're talking about a women's detention center where there are allegations of sexual abuse and abuse of all kinds. He took money from both Core Civic and parent companies like GEO Group, and they just got, wait for this, a 10-year contract, renewed contract. And by the way, it's one thing that our politicians are taking money from corporate PACs or corporations, but it's another thing that they are being sold out by tiny amounts of money as $5,000 and $30,000 and $35,000 for 10-year, tens of millions of dollars worth of contracts. Can you imagine that this detention center is in his district? These are people in his district. And it's like, nobody knows about it, nobody cares about it. This is how our people are governing. They don't have to pay attention to what we're going through. They have people giving them $5,000 and they're like, fine, great, I'm in good shape.
Yeah, I think a lot of Americans over the past few decades have sort of wised up to the idea that a lot of their politicians are bought, but I think that there might still be a little bit of naivete thinking that surely the sums of money have to be significant. The idea that you could, what a return on an investment, that you can turn a couple of $1,000s into millions long-term, and God only knows how long by the time it's fully done. Man, if we're gonna have corruption, couldn't they at least hold out for a little bit more money?
You would think, right? You would think that these people are sending them millions of dollars. It makes absolutely no sense. And think about it this way. Right now, throughout this pandemic, we had more than 55 million people file for unemployment, right? And during this exact same time, billionaires made hundreds of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. We're not talking about a billion here or there. We are talking about people in this country trying to figure out, where am I gonna live because I'm being evicted because I lost my job and I don't have enough money to pay. Talking about people trying to figure out, I don't have anyone to look after my children so I can go back to work. Yet we have billionaires in our country that make hundreds of billions of dollars. Something doesn't add up. This doesn't make sense. We cannot wait a single second for change to come. We have to come together, solve our own problems. And remember, just remember, in the HEROES Act, they took a $6,000 plus loan on every single man, woman, and child. That's you guys. That's us that work for a living, get up every single day in the morning and go work. And they distributed the majority of it to billionaires and major corporations that didn't need it to be able to stay alive or stay solvent during this time.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.